Hello. Good day mga ma'ams and sirs. Hello, grade 10 students. So today is another day for a new lesson. So welcome to my YouTube channel. So again, this is Maam Sheena and I'll be your math teacher for today. So today, our objectives is I'm going to tell you the first lesson in your math pen and we're going to discuss about sequences. So what is a sequence? What are the different types of sequences? But before we start, I want you to take a look on the shapes, on the letters, on the numbers that is shown on the board for your activity for today, and it is entitled as what is next. So I want you to observe and I want you to discover if what will be the next shape, next letter, or the next number. So you may try it on a piece of paper or on your notebook. So let's try to answer your given activity. So for number 1, if you can notice, we're going to have shapes, the squares and the triangles. So for number 1, you're going to have 1 square, then 2 triangles, 1 square, 3 triangles, a square, 4 triangles. So what will be the next term? So what is your answer? Yes, the correct answer is a square. So if you can notice in number 1, the square is the one who separates the triangles, in which if you can see the given triangles, it add 1 as so nagsugod ta sa 2 triangles, then it becomes 3 separated by a square, then 4 triangles. So the square serves as the separator of the triangles. So let's have number 2. We're going to have 2, 4, 6. And what will be the next term? So if you can notice, so from 2, it becomes 4. So you just simply add 2. From 4, it becomes 6. So simply plus 2 again. So therefore, the next term is just equal to, yes, correct. That will be 8. And for number 3, you're going to have the set of letters. You're going to have A, C, E, G, and what will be the next term? So the correct answer is I. So if you're going to take a look on our alphabet, so there is a lakang, or what do you call this? Daw maging labyan, maging agwat nga isa ka letter, in which from A it becomes C. So daw naglip siya sa isa ka letter. Then C, naging lakangan si letter D, it becomes E. So you're going to have there E to G, and you're going to have G. So the next term is I. So very good. So what have you noticed with your activity today? So ano ang natukiban or ano ang inyong na-discover for your activity today, which entitled What's Next? So how you determine the next shape, the next number, and the next letter. So yes, if you can notice, class, so what we've done earlier on our activity, if you can notice, there is certain pattern. So in the first place, for example, if you add 2 to a certain number, all throughout you're going to add 2 in order to get the next terms. So this kind of set of shapes, set of numbers, set of letters is what we call sequences. So when we say class sequences, it refers to the set of shapes, set of numbers, set of letters, or any objects that follow certain pattern or rule. So that's a sequence. And these shapes, these letters, these numbers, or these objects that composes or sequences are what we call terms. Again, terms, these are the numbers, the objects, the shapes, or any objects that composes or sequences. So kung ano ang makita sa aton nga given, it can be shapes, it can be letters, it can be numbers. Amo ni siya ang ginatawag naton nga terms. These are the elements of our sequences. Next, let's have the 2 types of sequences based on the number of terms. So we do have 2 types of sequences according sa number of its terms. So the first one is what we call finite sequence. Again, finite sequence. So these type of sequences, class, are those sequences in which you can just count the number of terms and you can easily identify the last term. So that is finite sequence. And the another one is what we call infinite sequence. Be careful with the pronunciation, with the spelling. So ang difference lang na sa aton, if you're going to spell, is the IN. However, the pronunciation is different. Again, the first one is finite. The second one is infinite. So the infinite sequence, this is the opposite of your finite sequence, in which the terms has no limit. So you're going to have the unlimited terms, and you cannot easily identify the last term, and usually it ends with the three dots. And this three dots is what we call ellipsis. So this is very easy if you're going to identify later if it is finite or infinite sequence, because you can see the three dots automatically. That will be an infinite sequence. Let's consider an example. Let's have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So given this numbers, is this a sequence or not sequence? Yes, it's a sequence because it has a pattern of adding 2 to each number in order to get the next term. Next question, is this a finite sequence or infinite sequence? What's the answer? Yes, it's a finite sequence since you can easily identify the last term, and the last term will be 10. And how many terms do we have? So we do have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So simply you're just going to have 5 terms. So it's very clear that it is an example of a finite sequence. Now, I'm going to teach you how to name a certain sequence. So how to name it using symbols, we're going to use the small letter A, and we're going to have your A sub 1. Again, the A sub 1 denotes your first term. A sub 1. That's the proper reading. And how to write it, you're going to write and use the small letter A, and 1, ara siya sa dalom. So that is read again as A sub 1. If you're going to have your A sub 1 as your first term, it follows that your second term will be your A sub 2. Again, second term is your A sub 2. And so on and so forth until you reach your last term. Your last term, it can be named as A sub n, or probably it can also be known as your unknown term. So later, we're going to solve some terms in a sequence. So that's we're going to denote it, A sub n. Again, be careful on the reading and on the proper writing of our terms. Now, let me check whether you truly understand our today's lesson by answering this activity on a piece of paper or on your notebook. So let's have test 1. So I want you to tell whether it represents a sequence or not sequence. Test 2. So you're going to tell or you're going to write what will be the next term or terms. And for test 3, you're going to have or you're going to tell whether it's a finite or infinite sequence. So after you answer this activity, the teacher will just going to check your work. So yes, we're done with the definition of sequence. We already know the definition of terms, how to write it in symbols, and the difference between finite and infinite sequence. Now, I want you to ask, what is the importance of knowing this lesson in your real life situation? Are there situations in your daily life that follows a certain pattern or sequence? So yes, very good. So for example, in cooking, so there will be steps, there will be proper sequence, there will be pattern or certain rule in cooking. So you do have your measurement, ano ang una nga isahog or ano ang una nga ibutang sa inyo nga menu. So that's follow sequence. What else? In English, for example, in reading a story, so there's proper sequence, di ba? So that's also an example of your sequence. What else? you think of certain situations in which you can encounter sequence in your life. So I think I'm gonna end my video today mga langga with this lesson. So I hope that you have learned something today. I hope that I were able to share some knowledge with you, and later or on my next video, I'm going to teach you how to find terms using a formula. So yeah, so see you on my next video. Hope that you've learned something today. So thank you so much, my moms and sirs. Thank you so much, grade 10, for listening and watching. So again, this is Mom Sheena. Hope that you've liked, shared, comment, and subscribed to my channel. So see you on my next video. Bye!